Oh, Maxine Waters had plenty of fears, fevered dreams about Trump and his supporters starting trouble. But it's the left, always the left, resorting to violence. And right there to defend the protesters and defend the rights of illegal immigrants to stay in the country illegally was the Congresswoman. Let's have a listen to Maxine Waters.
Using deportation as a way to enhance his position with all of those right-wingers out there who do not want this country to be a country of people coming from other groups. It's outrageous, it is horrible, and we've got to make sure that we do everything that we possibly can, because I think he's up to creating martial law. He even alluded to civil war.
He alluded to civil war. This from the woman who has long championed feral behaviour, who has called for her ideological opponents to be harassed and intimidated, even when they're out for dinner. And now, as California descends into lawless, violent protest, she's fanning the flames with this sort of talk. Here she is asked about the National Guard being called in to restore order.
What do you think about the National Guard being here, Trump deploying them and not our own governor?
Well, the thing about it is, I don't know why they're here with guns. Whom are they going to shoot, and for what? Why the guns? Why are these guns here? That's my question. I don't get why the guns have to be here. We're a sanctuary city. We know Trump doesn't like us. We know that he's going to try to use us as an example.
Is she kidding? Why the guns? Why are they there? Because violent miscreants have taken over the streets. They're attacking law enforcement and generally being lawless thugs. Does she expect the National Guard to go in there with teddy bears and hug these criminals into submission? And if that wasn't enough, Maxine then showed up at a detention centre and tried to use her congressional authority to gain access. It didn't go too well. As the kids say, not today, Satan.
No, I want you to... Hello, hello, hello. Congresswoman Waters, I just came to use my congressional authority to check on these.
Ma'am, we're lobbying securely now to all visitors.
Excuse me, I need to get in.
Contact our public affairs.
I need to get in.
That was pretty delicious footage at the end there. Joining me now is American Culture Project Senior Fellow and School Choice Advocate Corey DAngelus. Corey, Donald Trump couldn't have hoped for a better advertisement for his deportation program than the violent uprising we're seeing in California right now.
Yes, this is a great advertisement for Trump's deportation program, but it's also a great advertisement for the Republican Party in general. The Republicans already beat the Democrats on the issue of immigration overwhelmingly in the last election, and now this is only going to cement that view in voters' minds. You look at the images from Los Angeles, it's a war zone right now, and it's because the Democrats can't keep their house in order. You look at Democrat-run cities. We saw this in 2020 with the George Floyd protest. They were burning cities all across the country. You had mainstream media calling it mostly peaceful protests that were fiery. And we're seeing the same kind of problems right now. And you have Gavin Newsom trying to tell Trump to call off the National Guard. They're siding with the criminals. They're against the victims in these situations. They are against personal property rights. They're with the looters. And, you know, voters don't like this stuff. They're paying taxes. They want to be protected. They don't want criminals roaming the streets. You see the Mexican flag being flown all across Los Angeles. This is supposed to be America, not Mexico. And so this is only providing more advertising for Trump's efforts, because, you know, one of his main arguments is that a lot of the immigrants are not assimilating with American culture. You see them in these photographs and these videos with flags that aren't even the American flag. I mean, it's making Trump's point for him.
Well, we've seen scenes of them burning the American flag. That's the only time I've seen the American flag in these protests, is when it was being burnt. And you're right, where is Governor Newsom? He seems to be doing more harm than good. The local authorities seem to have run soft on this as well, releasing ridiculous statements saying they're peaceful protests. And they seem to be completely unprepared for the violence of the left, even though we see it often enough. And you mentioned the Mexican flag. I think this image really summed up the protest. You can see the lineup of police cars in this image. shrouded in thick black smoke, and you've got a mass protest there, flying the Mexican flag. This, to me, Corey, is just the height of absurdity. These people are flying the Mexican flag and violently protesting to avoid being deported to Mexico. If you love Mexico so much that you're flying their flag on American soil, why are you so opposed to going back there?
Yeah, look, this is an invasion. It's an insurrection, if you want to take the words from the left and use it right against them. But look, I mean, this Los Angeles is supposed to be the home of the 2028 Summer Olympics. And all we have right now is their public officials using mental gymnastics to defend the criminals, the rapists, and the murderers, and not the victims of all these crimes. So, you know, we already forecast in 2030 that California is going to lose 4 electors because they're losing population already. More people are going to flee California. They have beautiful beaches. They have a great weather, but they're still losing population because they have numbskulls running their state into the ground.
Well, they do. And as California is in disarray, you've got in New Jersey, UFC 316 was underway, and Trump was there, and his now customary walk-in occurred again to thunderous applause. And Corey, as soon as the big fights were won, the fighters were jumping out of the cage to shake Trump's hand. Here is Merav Devlishli.
Moran has done it again. He submits Sean O'Malley.
He's a monster. Dudes, man. He's a monster.
He's a monster.
He's a monster. And look, he's not even out of breath.
He tried that choke in the first round, too. Sean was able to defend, but, I mean, you're tired. You've been worn down, and eventually he gets that choke. Look at Moran. Second meeting, more dominant than the first. Judges not needed tonight.
Corey, there certainly has been a big cultural shift in the States, more so in sport than in entertainment, but you are seeing Trump embraced these sporting events, particularly the UFC, but also football games, and he's enormously popular with, even in places you wouldn't expect him to be popular. New Jersey is a blue state.
Yeah, that's right. Trump is a man of the people. He won all 7 swing states in November 2024, and he's continuing that trajectory. You see, winners like Trump, and Trump likes to win too. So you can see that in his policies, and you can see it in his public events as well. We saw this at football games leading up to the election. He's a very popular guy, and he's a man of the people. Your everyday citizen can relate with Trump, and it's obvious a plus. The main thing is that his policies are great, especially when it comes to things like education, immigration, keeping cities safe. Hopefully some states like California and New York can learn from Republican-led states to be safer and to have a better education system too.
I think New Jersey's it can be one. I mean, there's a lot of those. It is a polarized country. We might talk about Trump being popular, but he is loathed in those deep blue states, that's for sure. But I think New Jersey is one of those ones where at the next election, or maybe the one after, it could become a red state, because the people there are sick of the Democrats abandoning them and the issues they care about. They have become so radically left. So unless the Democrats find their way, they're in danger of losing states like New Jersey. Now, let's marvel at this ridiculous piece from the Washington Post about life on Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket being disrupted after migrant workers were shackled and boarded onto Coast Guard boats, igniting fear among undocumented workers, they call them, who form the backbone of the island's workforce. Corey, is this not the same community in Martha's Vineyard that called in authorities when a few dozen illegal immigrants were sent their way from Florida? I mean, they were removed within a couple of days, if I remember correctly, and now we're supposed to feel sorry for them because their cheap labour's gone?
Yeah, they're afraid that they're not going to have their low-cost labor. The elites over there want people to mow their yards and to serve them at the dinner table. But look, yeah, they're total hypocrites, and this just goes to show you that so much of these knee-jerk reactions from elites in these kind of cities, it's all just based on who they don't like. So a few years ago, was they didn't like DeSantis. They thought DeSantis had a shot at becoming president. So they wanted to respond by saying, "Oh, well, we don't like what he's doing by sending the immigrants here," even though they said they were a sanctuary city and they embraced immigrants. But then now that Trump is trying to go the other way on the same issue and to deport immigrants from Martha's Vineyard, now all of a sudden they come out with their Trump derangement syndrome. That's all this is. It's more of a political argument than anything else.
And let's end with the media. ABC News has suspended correspondent Terry Moran after he posted the most unhinged diatribe on X imaginable about President Donald Trump and Trump's Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller. Corey, this was a crazy rant. He wrote, and he's deleted this, but the damage is done. He wrote, amongst other things, Miller is a man who is richly endowed with the capacity for hatred. He's a world-class hater. You can see this just by looking at him, because you can see that his hatreds are his spiritual nourishment. He eats his hate. He eats his... Corey, this is demented even by ABC standards. I could not believe this. I thought he'd been hacked, but no, he's responsible.
Yeah, it's a classic case of pure projection. I mean, you can see his hatred just seeping through that tweet. He later deleted it. Maybe he was drunk when he was tweeting this. I don't know what happened, but it's very surprising to me that ABC is actually doing something about it. I would have figured that he would have got a promotion at this left-wing news outlet.
He might at the end. He's only suspended, Corey.
Yeah,
He's
so
not
we'll see
sacked
what
yet.
happens. We'll see what ultimate. Yeah, maybe when it blows over, he'll get a raise or something in a couple of months.
Well, let's not forget Donald Trump sat down with him for that one-on-one interview, and he was fairly thoroughly embarrassed. He was unprepared for that interview, and Trump held him to account when he made some claims boldly, and when he was questioned, he's like, well, no, I'm not sure. I'm just asking the question. And when he'd actually been making a statement, there were quite a few examples there. Corey DAngelus, always a pleasure. Thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you, Rita. Good talking to you.